Since the last video, I noticed that this piece here does not come down and overlap our mud flap piece down here the way it does in our images. So I just haven't pulled these down far enough. So let's just do that real quick. I'll go to the side view and into wireframe. And if I tab into edit mode, maybe I can just go to vertex select and use the border select tool with the B key and border select these points. And then let's just move them down to right here. And it looks like it angles in then. Let's see if we can find that here. Yeah, it looks like it angles in right there. And you can see that here too. So what we need to do, I guess, is just hit E and extrude straight down in the Z axis to about right here. And then I think what we can do is just border select this point here and move it in like that. There we go. So let's give this a try. Let's go back to solid view and take a look at it. Well, it's pulled it down over that piece, and that's good. However, this is kind of sticking out. And this is the point where we're going to have to kind of begin making some decisions as to how and where these pieces are going to fit together. So you can see here that this piece is on the inside here. So if we go to the back view, we can see that if I take this piece here and move it in, then this piece won't be all the way out to where it should be. So what I'm going to do is just grab these points right here and move them in just inside of that piece. So I'm going to tab into edit mode, go to the border select tool, and I'm just going to drag these in like that. Let's see how that works. There we go. Yeah, so I think it's more important that this stay outside or this stay where it is on the reference image than this piece. And I don't know that I want to change where these pieces are at this point in time. So to get it all to work together, I just brought in those points just a bit. All right, now let's create that odd little piece in here where I don't really know what it is. And it doesn't really matter too much, but I just want to create this general shape just to have in here. So let's go ahead and press Shift A and create a cube. And I'll scale it down and I'll bring it up into here and kind of fit it into place here. Right in here. And maybe I'll bring it over like this. And let's set it right down in here. And maybe I'll go ahead and select this face and bring it in just a bit like that. And also I think we could maybe scale this in. I'm going to hit S and Y and scale that in a bit. It doesn't look like it fills the entire space there. All right, and maybe bring that down. Or actually what I'll do is I'll just select that face and bring that down like this. Now I just want to take this edge right here and bring that straight down like that. So let's just bring it down like that. Oh, actually, no, I don't want to do that, do I? Let's undo that. I need to create one extra edge loop right in here to hold this flat space right there. So let's press Control R and maybe put that right there. And now if I select that edge, I can bring that down like that. And it gives us that basic shape. All right, so maybe scale it in just a little bit more. And then what I'd like to do is put this little thingamabob on the top. It looks kind of like a cylinder. So let's go ahead and call it a cylinder. I'll press Shift S2 to move the cursor there. And I'll press Shift A and let's choose Mesh Cylinder. And maybe I'll take it down to 16 sides. And let's change the radius to 0.1. And let's change the depth to 0.1 as well, and that just brings it down so we can see it at least. I'd also like to get rid of the faces on the bottom, so I'll zoom in with the period key, and let's tab into edit mode, and I'll just select that face there and hit X and delete faces. Now, notice that I didn't put a triangle fan on this, and I usually do, but for this, let's try it like this. I just want to see if I can get it to have that kind of curved feel to it on the top here. Let's see what we can do. So what I'll do is I'll just tab into edit mode and select that face. Then I'll hit the I key and pull in, and then I'm going to pull up a bit. And I'm going to hit the I key again and do that a couple of times just to see if I can get something that's kind of like a curved top, kind of like that. Now, if I wanted a triangle fan on here, we could do that. I could delete this and then merge the points together, and that would create a triangle fan. Now, what about creating tries from this ingon here, from this multi-sided face? Well, if we right-clicked and choose Triangulate Faces, we click that, that doesn't really do it for us now, does it? It just kind of gives us a random collection of triangles. And that's really what will happen once we take it into Unity. So I'll press Control-Z and undo that. What we can do instead is hit X, delete faces, select this whole edge. I'll go to edge mode and press Alt and click that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the E key and then Enter, and that will extrude these edges, and I can bring them in. And then what let's do is merge those points together. So let's press Alt-M and then choose to merge at the center. And there we go. All right, so let's just choose that one point there and kind of bring it up just a little bit. There we go. So that gives us that kind of a curve on the top. Now what we can do is go ahead and smooth it and turn on Auto Smooth. And there we go. That looks pretty good for now. All right, I'm going to click on that little blue square and slide it over here. Scale it down a bit. So there we go. Now we've got that general shape. Maybe I'll make that a little bit bigger. Yeah, let's try that. Okay. Now let's see if we can create that handle. And for the handle, let me take this piece and move it up into the vehicle main. Actually, we may have some pieces in the reference images again. Sure enough, I had the reference images collection selected when I created a few of these things. So let me grab these and just drag them up into the vehicle main. There we go. Now, what I can do is I can go ahead and just select the vehicle main and hide it here. Now I'll move that cursor to the center of the grid with Shift S1. And let's try and create that handle in here. I think what I'm going to do is go to the front view, and I can go ahead and hide the reference images collection as well. Now let's use a path to create that handle. I'll press Shift A and go to Curve and Path. And if I click here, we don't see it because it's in the vehicle main. Let me undo this. And then what I'm going to do is click up here in the scene collection. Now let's try this again. Shift A, Curve, Path. There we can see it there. If I move it up, you can see there's our path. And all this is just a collection of points, and you can see them here. If I click this and hit G, you can see how these points define this curve, this path. So what I want to do is mirror this over so that as I work on one side, it does the same thing on the other. So I'll border select these two, hit delete, and choose delete vertices. Now if I tab into edit mode, I can come down here to modifiers and add a mirror modifier to the curve. If I tab back into edit mode, now I can take this and you can see how it's moving that on both sides. Okay, I want to take this and I want to bend it kind of like this, but I don't want to bend it that much. I want it to stay fairly straight here. So let me take this point and move it this way. It's still not doing quite what I want. I want to add a point between these two. So I can select these two and right click and choose subdivide. What that does is it adds a new point right there. So I can take this, let me deselect and grab that one point only. I can kind of move it like this. A little bit more like that, and then I can take these two here and do the same thing. Right click, subdivide, and then I'll grab this one point and move it this way just a bit. So you can see how I'm kind of sharpening that curve just a little bit. And then I'll take this and I'll move it straight down to about there. Let's try that. Now, we have our curve, but that doesn't do us a whole lot of good unless we add some geometry to it. So what let's do, let me right click and join area and move up to here to join this. No, actually I'll move down like that to keep this image here, and I'll bring that up. Okay, so now if we go to the Path tool or the Object Data tab, I'll select here. Now we can add some geometry to this. So I'll come down here to the Geometry section and twirl that down. And we can use the depth to increase that like this. And it looks like I've got kind of my transparency on. I need to press Alt-Z to turn that back to solid mode. There we go. And from here, I think I'd like to reduce the resolution a bit. If I hit Z and go to wireframe, you can see how many edges will be created once we convert this to polygon geometry. And that's just too much for our low poly vehicle. So what I'll do is I'll bring the resolution down some, maybe to 2. And also I'll go back up here to this resolution preview U and begin scrolling this down with that arrow. And maybe that's a little bit too much. Maybe something like this. Let's see. Go back to solid. Yeah, that looks okay. I think let's go with that. So now we need to convert this to polygons, because at the moment, if I tab into edit mode, you can see that we're still able to grab this and move this around like this. We want to now turn this into polygon geometry. So I'll right click and choose convert to mesh. And there we go. Now if we tab into edit mode, we can see the polygons there. All right, so I'll grab this. Let's go to that front view. Maybe I'll turn it a bit like this. Maybe move it in just a bit. And what I'm going to do is hit E and pull down. And I'll flatten it a bit too. I'll hit S and Z and that'll flatten it up some. You can see it there. Let me try that again. There we go. Then what I'll do is hit E again, and I'm going to hit S and scale out. Now I want to make these kind of rectangular, so I'll just grab these two and press S and Y, scale those in. I'll grab these two, S and X, and scale those in. There we go. So now I'll select them all and press S and Y to make them a little bit more rectangular like that. And then we'll just bring it straight down. Maybe I'll actually go like this and then hit E and drag down on the Z, and there we go. All right, so we didn't get that on the other side, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and hit the border select tool and select all of these polygons, delete the faces. Then we'll come back over here, go add modifier, mirror. We'll then choose clipping, and there we go. Now we have our handle. I think I'd like to move it in a bit. Let me go to wireframe, and I think what I'll do is take the B key and just move it in a bit like this. Well, let me grab these like this. I'll move these in like that. Yeah, something like that. All right. Now let's apply the mirror modifier. Let's move the pivot point down to the 3D cursor. Object, set origin, 3D cursor. Now let's bring everything back and try and put it in place. Here we go. I'll turn it in the Z, RZ90. I'll turn it in the Y, RY90. Oh, we better do it the other way, RY -90. There we go. We'll scale that down and go and put it in place. I'll go ahead and go to that top view and wireframe, and let's see if we can put it in place based on the reference images. I'll turn them back on, and let's hit G and bring that in here. We'll scale it down about like that, and maybe put it right about there. All right, now let's go back to our solid view, and let's see how we can place it right here. I'll kind of move that up like that. Let's see, is that too big? It kind of feels a little too big. Let's scale it down some. Yeah, something like that. All right. Well, there we go. There we have our handle for our toolbox. It's beginning to come together.